You know,
I think everybody loves to diagnose people that they don't really understand. This is something that I wanted to speak about today, and this is a great segue into it. I was mentioning this about people because when people are doing psychedelics for the first time, they say, "Hey, how many grams of mushrooms should I take?" Look, everybody has their own opinion on how we should do this stuff, but when it comes to you and your body, you could say, "Hey, I should do this because I'm sad," or "I should do that." But you cannot diagnose other people when you don't really understand the biology of depression and what's good for people or what's not good for people. And the same thing is to be said true about mushrooms. When you're talking about giving someone a drug that affects their mind and their mental state, you shouldn't just be suggesting anything to someone. If somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, should I take a gram of mushrooms for my first time?" I could say, "Yeah, that's fine. It should be fine. It should be great." But I never asked this guy about his mental history. I don't even know who he is. I'm just suggesting they should just take this drug that could ruin his mind. And it's a bad thing we should stop doing. This is why I say that we got to stop talking about grams anyway. Grams is what you roll up in your joints if you're trying to smoke some weed. If you're trying to take mushrooms, take a pill capsule. If you've never taken them before, take your mushrooms and put it in a pill capsule. Whatever is in that pill capsule can't be strong enough to hurt you. So you take that pill capsule, you have your experience. If you want more or need more, you take more. But instead of just weighing it by a gram where you don't have no idea the percentage of psilocybin that's inside of that mushroom is super dangerous and it gets people hurt a lot. I was talking about this today. You can go on Reddit or any drug forum and listen to people's experiences talk about how they have had a gram or two of penis envy that was way stronger than 3 or 4 grams of other mushrooms that they've had. And it was the most intense experience that they've ever had in their life, even though it was only a gram or two of mushrooms. So this is the danger of giving somebody who's never had mushrooms before a gram of mushrooms because a gram of what? A gram of what? Because you
a
don't
gram
know
of
what's the
enigma
psilocybin
or
percent.
a pans are going
Yeah,
to be.
pancyans, correct. And even though it's very rare for people to get those pancyans, it still could happen. And penis envy can be up to 3 times, almost 4 times as strong. So we have to keep this in mind. We gotta be thinking about this constantly and cautiously whenever we're talking about dosing people or drugging people. Because you have no idea what you're talking about, you shouldn't open your mouth. And this is the danger. It's called the Dunning Kruger effect. I talk about this a lot. People who underestimate their abilities overperform, and people who overestimate their abilities underperform. So if you think you know, you probably don't. You probably just need to just be quiet because you're going to end up getting somebody hurt. And if somebody else ends up getting somebody hurt, or somebody ends up listening to information that gets them hurt, it doesn't involve you. And all you can do is speak out and do what I'm doing right now and try to speak your truth and say, "Hey, I think it's dangerous for people to be talking about weighing grams. I don't think we should get rid of that. If I have anything to do with it, people will forget about it. They won't weigh their mushrooms out in grams. They'll really be looking at a quantity of mushrooms that is this amount and then putting it in their mouth and trying it. And then as they get more familiar with that type of mushroom, maybe they could branch into taking grams. Or if you're familiar with taking mushrooms in general, you can take a gram or two or whatever. But for people who are newbies, you should not be suggesting people to take grams. It's super dangerous. I don't recommend it. Can't express it enough, honestly. There's 2 things that I don't like. It's lemon tech and grams. And I almost don't like lemon tech more than I don't like grams. But if you want to put lemon in your mushrooms, put lemon in your mushrooms. I don't really care. But don't take grams. Don't weigh it by a gram. Fucking feel it in
I
your
like
heart
it
and your
in
soul.
chocolate. I like it in chocolate. I like grinding them up, putting them in a powder hot cocoa with some hot water, and you barely taste them that way, and they are very effective. I used to be very bold though with advice like you're talking about, like someone would ask, how much should I take, but my tolerance. I'm talking, when I'm speaking for myself, when I'm telling someone else, like, well,
It's dangerous, man.
maybe 5 grams, because I would need up to 10 grams. I mean, I had a high tolerance, and it was also, but I was taking my tubs and drying them and grinding them all. So there was, it wasn't just, random fruits. It was the combination of whatever was in that tub. But
Definitely.
I've also had a change, some kind of shift where my tolerance has gone way down, where like 1 or 2 grams is hitting me like 10 grams used to. And lately, because of this stomach thing I got going on, I can take a gram or two and I don't feel nothing. And then 6 hours later, it kicks in.
Wow.
I'm like, I wasn't expecting, what, where were you hours ago?
Wow. Interesting. Well,
Yeah,
this is how
because
you
it
get people
had
turned
the
off on mushrooms by giving them
gastroparesis.
a horrible experience. I mean, you want people to love and enjoy mushrooms. You want to have them build a nice relationship with it, not to be totally scare them away from it. give them a
Well, I
negative
don't think
stigma.
anybody's going to get scared. I mean, the thing that you have to remind yourself is, I took this either recreationally or for healing, or for spiritual.
100%.
But I mean, there's, they've never killed anyone. People have just had bad trips and they've done
Definitely.
crazy things. But the mushroom itself has never, killed someone or anything like that. So it's, I mean, yeah, I suppose it can be damage done if they have underlying, psychotic or different
Exactly
kind of
right.
mental health issues.
That's why we shouldn't be suggesting anything about people that we don't know their medical history. If I
Yeah.
don't know you and I don't know your
But
medical
I mean,
history, what your
if they
brain's
come
like, I shouldn't
asking,
suggest anything to
I think if they come asking though, like, usually we're assuming they already have the fruit or whatever, and they're just looking for, so, kind of thinking they already vetted themselves. Like, because I mean, I think
Right.
everybody knows if you got these underlying psychotic or mental episode issues or anything, then, you should really proceed with caution. But have someone asking like they got the fruit, then you just kind of, trying to guide them the best you can. But I agree, if they were to grind them up and then, a little capsule or, whatever, small dosage, and then tell them, wait a little while, then see how you feel. And then if you want to up it a little, but not go 5 grams your first time or anything like that. I mean, unless you're a experienced psychonaut, you've tripped a bunch of times. You got the DMT Benjamin and the the Lucy on hand and stuff. If you're into stuff like that, then you kind of have uh, a reference, and you'd say, well, those mushrooms are not as strong as this or that. But to
Yeah.
go in virgin, I would say, yeah, proceed cautiously. Just remind yourself that you took it for whatever reason. You didn't. I think that's where a lot of people have freakouts. Like, they might take too much, and then they go to the hospital and they say, "Oh, you just got to ride it out," or just like, if someone smokes too much weed and they think they're gonna die, they're not dying. They just freaking out. But they also forgot the main thing though, is if it's like they smoke too much weed or they eat a big chocolate bar of weed, well, you did that to have fun, didn't you? You're not having fun. You need to put that anxiety away and laugh and remember you took it for fun.
Cheers.
That's kind of how I feel about that though, is you got to remind
100%.
yourself why you took it. And if it was for recreationally, well, have fun. Don't worry about, oh, I'm dying or freaking out. This is going to pass, and it's normal to get nervous, I suppose, something new, but just, you took it to have fun, or you took it for spirituality, you took it for healing. But if you're taking it for healing, usually that's a microdose, and you're not even going to feel it. Like, microdoses, occasionally I would feel it was almost like a Prozac. Gives a little smile, a little elevated mood, but nothing measurable really.
100%. Well said.
Like
But yeah, it's just something that needs to
be.
be brought to light. It's something I've talked about before, and I'll be talking about it again. I've been saying that I was going to bring this up on the podcast several times because it's just something I'm tired of hearing about in general. There wasn't a comment today about it. There's just been comments about it, and I just don't like it because telling people what they should do with their bodies, like and you can assume, it's so ignorant. It's dangerous. If you want to go do whatever you were going to go do, take as many grams as you want to go take, that's fine, of course. It's a free country, but if you're telling someone else to do it and they end up getting hurt or hurting someone doing it, now you're really at fault,
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And exactly what Oreo is saying here. Thinking this amount is a normal amount as a blanket statement when every single mushroom could vary in strength is definitely dangerous.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mike says here, I like a banana with them. Is a great banana and chocolate. Super great. You can lemon tag. I just have personal reasons for lemon tech. Your body's going to do what lemon tech's going to do. Essentially, there's no reason to speed along the process. And with lemon tech, your experience is going to be more intense and unpredictable, and it's also going to be shorter, which is not really what you want. You do mushrooms, you want to get the full experience. So there's just personal reasons I don't like lemon tech. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I remember
capsules are the best way to go, even for
taking a
people who
little
are
cup.
dosing regular.
I used to take a little cup, like just a little cup, and then I put the powder in there, and then I'd take the straight, the lemon concentrate, then you'd add sugar and make lemonade. I'd pour that in
Yeah,
there
yeah.
and make this little sludge, and then I would shoot that, take a shot, and then I'd have to have something else to chase it. But I mean, that was just so gross. It tasted so awful.
100%.
but
Does.
the hot
Well,
chocolate is
chocolates are a good way,
something,
like
I
I
mean, you
mentioned.
could sip and enjoy. You know,
Yep.
is
Covers it up pretty well. Chocolate covers the world, I heard.
oh yeah,
But yeah, to your point, I want to mention this about alcohol because, alcohol, to your counterpoint about mushrooms, it can't really necessarily kill anyone directly from its effects. Well, alcohol can, right? Even that being said, I think it's fine for people if they want to drink. Like if you have a control on yourself and you occasionally drink and you're not an alcoholic and you don't have a history of addiction, it's fine for you to be able to have a drink. But if I was going to sit down with you and you never had a drink before, and both of us decided to chug a bottle of Jack Daniels, even though you never had a drink and I've been drinking, I'm going to get sick. You're going to get sick. It's going to be a horrible experience. But if I pulled out that bottle of whiskey and I poured us a shot, we were listening to an album, and then halfway through the album, I pour us another shot, and then I were kind of like slowly enjoying this experience. It's going to be way more enjoyable. It's going to be less likely for there to be harm. And even though you can't get the same toxic effects from mushrooms, the experience is still going to be the same. If you just pile a bunch of mushrooms in your mouth, that's just going to punch you all at once, as opposed to if you take a pill and let it settle in, take another pill, and dose your way up after over the course of 2 or 3 hours. You're going to get way more of an enjoyable experience. You're going to be able to go deeper into the experience, and it's going to be way more um, in ease into the experience rather than just like an overwhelming, overcome, uh, like uh, storm, if you will, in your brain.
I think a lot of that comes from pop culture these days too, though. Like I'm sure you've seen them. There's videos like Mike Tyson. He takes a handful and he chomps away on them, and
Yeah,
that's like it's
people want to
nothing,
do more.
And for someone that has no experience, thinks like that's something normal. And, well, he just ate whatever, how 7 grams or something, and he was fine on the podcast. I mean, he
Definitely.
might have seemed fine on the outside, but he was had some stuff going around on his head in his head. And
And
if
Terrence
you're not
McKenna,
prepared for that.
100%. Terrence McKenna is an idol of mine. I would never talk bad about him. I love him. I respect him, who he is as a person, what he's done for the community. But I think that saying taking 5 grams as a hero's dose has really done that same thing to people. It's really put into their head, oh, I should just take this because it's what the courageous thing is to do. And I believe Paul Stamets even spoke about this, about how it's a wrong term to call it a hero's dose because it means that it's courageous to do that. And it's not always the courageous thing to do. Sometimes it's the scary thing to do, and sometimes it's, you know, the adverse thing to do. Sometimes taking high doses like that can do the adverse effect of what you're trying to achieve. This is why Pop's talked a little bit about this, about how, the large doses are important, but the microdosing is where it really plays an impact in your life. It's those small doses, the little bits, the not taking 5, 10 grams at a time. I don't understand, like, what are we chasing at that point? What are you trying to achieve?
And
Like,
I
if you
love
need
the
enlightenment,
microdose.
find it inside yourself because it's not going to be in those mushrooms after taking that much. I promise.
The microdose is great. I mean, and for like an alcohol comparison, I think it would be like if you took a little shot glass of wine. You're not going to get
Yes,
intoxicated.
sir.
You're not going to, it ain't going
Yes,
to have all
sir.
those drunken effects. And that's
But it has
to
the
me,
medicinal benefits of having the grapes inside of it for antioxidants and stuff like that. Yes,
yeah.
sir. Very well
And then
said.
if you stack it with a couple other, like lion's mane or some other beneficial fungi, you can really have some great health benefits from it. And
Definitely.
but some of the research is showing, I mean, these are controlled situations, like they're helping people with the PTSD, but they are having them take a couple grams in a controlled environment. And with
Just
cancer
getting them out of those
patients,
stuck points.
cancer patients and Alzheimer's, they're taking like a quarter of a gram. So I mean, that's pretty
Okay.
much like a microdose, and they're seeing great benefits. I mean, there's a lot of research out there for someone wanting
Sweet.
to look
I
into
love
it.
it.
They can totally see what's right for them. And there's a lot of papers that'll show them different studies, and we're coming a long
Yep.
ways. Everyone's getting on board, so the research
I
is,
can't wait to be
coming
part of
along.
it, man. I can't wait for us to all be part of it. To just build this community the way it's supposed to be and instead of making it corrupt like we talked about with other industries, and we're not going to name names, but yeah, people have made the industry, music industry, and everything around us corrupt 100%. So we need to try to make it positive and make it a great community. And that's what I can't wait to be part of it, see what's going to change. And this is why I'm so adamant about speaking about what I'm speaking about, because I want to change the narrative to be what it's supposed to be rather than what people have been told to believe. Grams is not a good way to talk about people. When you're talking about percentages of psilocybin that can vary so much, that would be like me walking up to you with a gram of really crappy weed as opposed to a gram of wax. It's like totally different percentages of THC inside those things. And you have to be wary of whenever you're explaining this to people. But like I mentioned with weed, it's okay because there's a cap with weed. You can only get so intoxicated off of it. It's not typically going to be as an intoxicating effect as mushrooms. That's the difference. So when you're talking about psilocybin, you got to quit talking about grams. And the second point that I want to make is you probably shouldn't take it all at once. Even if you do take 2 grams, take a gram, wait 30 minutes, take another gram, and you're going to find it's a way more enjoyable experience, and you'll probably be able to take more than you normally would be able to. You go a little bit farther, a little bit deeper, and then this is where the introspection starts to unfold. This is for me personally. Again, this is why it's important to figure out for yourself, not listen to what people be skeptical and learn to listen is our 5th agreement. You guys have to keep that in mind. Don't listen to what people say if you're on the receiving end of it. If you have something, if you're learning something new about piano or mushrooms or whatever it may be, make sure to be skeptical about what people are, the information that you're trying to say, and tread the waters lightly. I mean, you can always add a little bit more salt to your stew if you want, but you cannot take that out. It's important to remember. And when you're in the middle of a 4-hour mushroom trip and you're hating yourself because you took too much, you're going to be thinking about what I'm saying. You're like, yeah, Lakshmi was right. Dang it, man. Because I've been there. I'm trying to save you guys the freaking time and the distraction and the mental heartache. I've seen all that happen to me, dude. Because what happens in a group setting, a lot of times people will get an 1/8 and split it, or they'll get a 5 grams or whatever and split it. It's like you're going to get 2 different experiences. You're 2 different human beings, 2 different metabolisms. You've eaten 2 different things throughout your day, more than likely. You're 2 different human beings, and how that's going to affect you is totally different. So you shouldn't just do what your friends do. You should listen to your own body. I used to get picked on a lot for this, for taking half hits of acid, because my friends would be like, I'm wasting the acid. I'm getting the experience that I want out of taking this psychedelic. I don't need to go that far all the time, that deep, for me to get the same enlightenment I can get off of taking this hit of acid, splitting it in half, and getting 2 experiences. It's all my personal preference, is what I want. And how do you know that whatever I'm taking my half a hit of acid, that's not as intense as you taking a full hit of acid? Because my brain's totally different, dude. So we have to keep that in mind. We're different human beings.
Yeah, you can also, well, I mean, I also occasionally will microdose acid,
Very good. I haven't done that in a long
I don't
time.
think it's a waste because it's behind the scenes where it's working. I
Right.
don't need the whole visual trip every time. It's doing it for spirituality and for healing. So
Definitely.
yeah,
And people have their own opinions about LSD, but it's what got me into psychedelics. It was the first thing I started to microdose with.
Yeah,
For sure, 100%.
I like mushrooms obviously because nature and them being,
Definitely.
you don't have to worry about what's if you grow your own tubs and they're very easy to grow. It's a fun hobby. You know what you got. Versus
Definitely.
you get some acid from someone. Could be
100%. And that's another thing I would like to mention as well. There are test kits for psilocybin. It's not the fact that you guys don't know. It's that you're just willing to take something that you don't know. You can send your mushrooms into a laboratory. They can send your mushrooms back. They can tell you the psilocybin percentage. It costs money to do, but you can do it. Or you can buy a test kit online anonymously. It comes to you indiscreet, and so they don't know who you are. You can take that test kit. You can test your mushrooms and make sure it's psilocybin. Make sure what you're actually getting is the mushroom. And it's things that we have to be willing to do. And take it from me. When I was young, I was not testing my drugs. This is why I'm being an advocate for this now, because I dodged a lot of bullets. There's bad acid that went around in my town, and it was just a lucky chance that I didn't get any of it. We need to be testing our drugs. Just because you're assuming you know what mushrooms are, again, the worst thing you can be is an amateur and a Dunning-Kruger and assume that you know better, because you're not better for not knowing something. You have to make sure and check, because you're just getting these mushrooms from people and you're not sure who the grower is or what they're growing or their process. You haven't seen any pictures of how they're doing it. Super dangerous, man. It is super dangerous.
I think also, I mean, if you know who's growing them, then you know the love and the care that they're putting into, because that's going to affect your experience. If you get someone that's just money grubbing and they're just doing it for $1. I don't think you can have as good of an experience as someone that's, is passionate about it and enjoys it and, is really
That goes for
happy with what they
everything.
do. Well,
Well
I mean,
said.
but we see all the time these kids. They think they're going to take a what, a Xanax, and then it ends up being fentanyl, and then they die. But they just wanted to have fun, and that is like
That's what I'm saying, bro.
so heartbreaking. Because
Yeah,
I grew up and I did a lot of stupid shit, but that stuff wasn't
yes, sir.
around back then. And if someone handed you a pill and said it was a Xanax, you could have trusted it as that. But now, yeah, I
Yeah,
think they're
man.
trying to kill everybody with that fentanyl, trying to make everything super powerful. They've even found vapes, like THC vapes in stores that tested to have fentanyl in them. Like they're putting that shit in vapes
Crazy,
to
man.
get people higher. It's just that is poison. I don't like it. I'm sure it's got its good benefits, in the hospital or whatever. People with pain,
I mean,
but
if you want to party, it's fine. Like, look, even if you're just taking mushrooms to party, it's like it's your own life. Live your life. And I won't suggest it, and I don't recommend it. It's not what I prefer, but if you want to do that, that's fine. But it's just like skydiving. You could skydive, but you got to do it with a freaking parachute, and you got to safety check it. Make sure you're getting a reliable parachute from a reputable brand, and then you go skydiving. So you're doing it safely. If you want to take mushrooms, but just make sure you know what you're taking. Because then if you don't, you get hurt. You have no one to blame but yourself. If you're smoking a cart from the store and you're just assuming that it's good because it came out of a store and you smoke it and then you get tested for it, you have no one to blame but yourself. You can blame that store all you want. Just like I talked about this earlier in the show, you're the one to blame for your own happiness, your own feelings. And if you put yourself in a situation like it's somebody they forced you, held you down, and stuck the pin in your mouth or the mushrooms in your mouth, made you smoke it or made you eat it, and if they did, then you can blame them. But you don't have that excuse if you walked into the store and bought it and purchased your money on it or got it from some shady guy under a tree in a park. Really, honestly, bro, you have nobody to blame but yourself if you end up having a bad trip on these mushrooms or not having a trip at all. That used to happen to me a lot as a kid. I'd get mushrooms and they wouldn't even do anything to me. Who knows what I
yeah.
was even eating? So I'm trying to say to people, we have to be more cautious about this. We can't be young, dumb kids. We're old and we're adults now. Everybody here is 21 plus. So act like an adult. Like treat your body like a temple. What you're putting into it, know what you're putting into it, and how much you're putting into it. Don't just say a gram because we don't know what's in that gram of psilocybin. We don't know, and that's why I explained to my friend the other day, Derek. If I came up to you and I said, "Hey, man, this pill right here contains 25 milligrams of psilocybin," would you be able to comprehend in your head what that means effectively? Like, would that be a microdose to you, or would that be a really intense trip?
25 milligrams.
A pure psilocybin, yes, sir.
Well, pure psilocybin, I reckon that would be uh, probably
Yeah,
close to
you
two
don't
grams
know.
or something. I would imagine probably close to
Yeah,
2 grams if it was pure, if it
but
was
that's what I'm
psilocybin
saying.
isolate. So,
You don't
yeah,
know. But if I came up to you and I said, "Hey, Derek, there's 25 milligrams of active Tylenol in this pill," would you know that that's a lot of Tylenol or a little bit?
a little bit.
A little bit. See what I'm saying? Because you understand milligrams of Tylenol and how it affects you. You're not weighing a pill out by gram. It could be any size it wants to be, as long as you know, oh, I'm going to have about 400 or 500 milligrams of Tylenol to have an effect. 25 milligrams won't be enough. But you understand that because that's the way people talk about it. So we need to start reframing the way we speak about psilocybin. We need to get our stuff tested. We need to send it into labs, have them send back our results, and it's going to vary a lot. But all you can do is do your best and give people an average percentage of the psilocybin content that you're getting, and then people will start to understand more the amount of psilocybin that it takes for them to have an effect. Just like with milligrams with edibles and THC. So somebody comes up to you, they don't say there's a gram of weed in here. They say it's 100 milligrams.
Mhm.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
Because it's the active amount of THC that makes a difference, not the weight of the plant material, not the weight of the mushroom. I hate to be ranting about
140-pound
that so
person,
much, but
also
yeah,
like a 140-pound person versus a 190-pound person.
well
There's going to
said.
be a difference too.
What they ate, how well they exercise or don't exercise, or the medications they're on or not on. And we don't know these things about people, dude.
Yeah.
It's just ignorant. I'm sick of people coming up and being curious about mushrooms and then asking a group of people, what should we do? How much mushroom should we take? And people saying we should take this amount and wait. It's stupid. It's ignorant. It's ignorant at its very least. It's not knowing something and you're talking about it. It's talking out of pocket, I call it. And we're all guilty of doing it, but we gotta be careful when we do it because you're like leading somebody in the fire. And with psychedelics, it's not just like drinking a glass of water. You're intoxicating someone. So for you to dictate what somebody gets intoxicated on, how much they get intoxicated, it's ignorant, man. You shouldn't do that to people because a lot of the times we don't know.
I think it's usually, though, I would say 99.9% of the time, though, it's coming from a good place. The person isn't meaning
100%.
the other person is service or anything. They're just speaking from their own, like I was saying earlier, I speak from my own experience. I might tell someone, oh, 2 grams is cool, and that might be way too much. I didn't know that the person on the other side of the chat was a 90-pound woman, and she takes this.
That's why we've got to be careful. It's being impeccable with your word, meaning what you say and actually meaning it, not just saying it. It's being impeccable with your word. I don't just go and say things I don't mean. I do, but that's what being impeccable. If you were truly impeccable, that's what you would do. You wouldn't say things that you didn't mean. And this practicing being impeccable. It's not just saying things because you think it's true, but saying them because they actually are true. Well, I can't speak for you, but I would say in my personal experience, and Nerdy talks about this a lot. He's kind of really shifted my mind recently in the past couple of months about how you should speak to people you're trying to help. You shouldn't say, well, you should do this or you should do that. I've done that several times already during this conversation. But you should reframe it to say, hey, I would do it this way, or this is why I would do it, which also I've done several times during this conversation. So I try to do.
Yeah, like if it were me, not if I was you. You don't want to say if I was you, but you could tell them if it were me, I would take this. But I have this that I've taken them a bunch of times, and it'd follow up with why, if it were you, what you would do. But not say, if I was you, I would just do, I would say,
definitely.
If it were me, I would take, 1 gram, see how I feel in 30 minutes, and then maybe take a little more if I'm not happy, if I want to get happier, whatever, But
because if they're practicing their 5 agreements, all they can do is be skeptical and learn, and they're taking inferences from all these different people, and they're trying to make the best educated they can without making assumptions. So they're going to they're going to eliminate all the guesses, all the variables. I'm assuming that it's a mushroom. I'm assuming how much psilocybin that it has in it. I'm assuming that it is what it is. Like you just stop assuming. You need to really get rid of all those assumptions, and then you can go into it. Well, I have no expectations. I have intent, but no expectations about this experience. Whatever is going to happen, it's going to happen. But I've eliminated all the variables, all the assumptions. I don't have any anymore. But if you have assumptions, again, you're breaking your 4 agreements. If you're assuming what's in a mushroom or if you're assuming it for somebody else, it's the wrong way to be. It really is.
I make the assumption that it's helpful. It's always going to be helpful. I don't always make an assumption like, oh, I'm going to have a fun trip or anything like that, because you might think, oh, I'm going to take some and then read scripture, read this book, or watch a movie or whatever, and have a good time. But you can have that sideways feeling that you occasionally get, where you feel like at odds, and it's not enjoyable. It's just like it's the dose you need, not the dose you want.
Definitely.
And it's
you have to be willing to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
In an experience like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you've done psychedelics and high doses, that's what you have to do. You can't be married to your ideas. You can't be married to your assumptions or who you are as your ego, your identity, or any of that. You have to be willing to let those things go. And in those tough moments, those deep psychedelic experiences, that's what you learn. That's one of the things you learn anyway.
Like on that movie, what's it, 21 or 22 Jump Street, when they were both tripping, one of them was having a good time and the other one was freaking out.
I forget which one. You're totally right, though.
I think it was 21 Jump Street.
I don't remember. Since long since I've seen it, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 21 Jump Street. They were taking the, I think it was the Wi-Fi. I'm pretty sure that was that. But one of them, he was having like the best trip, and the other one was, he was really in it. I love that scene because it's real, and that can go from you can have one experience and have a really fun time, and then the next time you go and try to have that fun time again, depending on where your mind is, it might not be the same thing. Same thing, but different. you could be the same mushrooms, everything, but what's going on up in here? Same, but different. You know, maybe good, maybe shit.
What's lemon tech? You use lemons? Yes, lemon tech is where you use lemon juice. So basically, what you're doing with lemon juice is you're just trying to break down the cell walls of the psilocybin and turn it into psilocin. It's the same thing that your body does. Whenever you're getting the effects of psilocybin, you're not actually getting the effects of psilocybin. Your body's converting it into psilocin. We actually have a harm reduction video on this on the channel. You guys could go check it out. But yeah, that's what it starts to do. So what it's doing is it's skipping the process of your body breaking it down. So it's giving you an intense effect, but it's also going to be shorter acting for that reason as well. That's just not something that I prefer. Chocolate is a great way to mix with mushrooms. Bananas is a great way to mix with mushroom. Honey, these are things that you can stack it with. We got a message from Pops here. It says, this is why Detroit Must Lab will be testing and providing psilocybin content percentages by the batch. Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Good stuff, Pops. I mean, we would expect nothing less from Pops to be able to pave the way and really do it the way it's supposed to be professional. We would expect nothing less from you, man. We appreciate all the work that you're doing, the protection for people for that exact reason. It's great. I love it. Yeah, exactly right. It breaks down the fibrous material of the mushrooms. So yeah, 100%.